This week's video is definitely another one of my favorite subjects. It's also another massively controversial and debated hot topic. Are we really living inside a simulation? While a lot of people may become startled or scoff at the idea, there is a good amount of circumstantial evidence pointing toward this being exactly the case. There are numerous scientific publications suggesting this idea is an actuality, not to mention the various forms of entertainment and media expounding upon the notion. The Matrix set the bar high for both film standards and popular theories and concepts. And while most people saw the movie as a fictional source of entertainment, many saw it as a genuine potentiality. Shows like Westworld continue to push the envelope and encourage people to question what we see as reality. Because while we only know this day-to-day life as a completely factual and indisputable reality, so much of life has yet to be understood. Each and every night we experience a form of self-created story within our minds that can't be distinguished from the rest of our waking lives during its conception. It's only until we wake up from our dreams that we even realize that they were simply delusions. The very same thing could happen at the end of our lives. We could wake up one day to a completely different reality, only to realize our entire life was an incredibly complex dream.
Whoa. Shit! Oh, what the hell? Whoa, where am I?
55 years. Not bad, Morty. You kind of wasted your 30s, though, with that whole bird-watching phase.
And while our lives can seem lengthy in duration, time is an illusion, simply a human construct. And compared to a universal timescale, a human life is a fraction of a blink of an eye. I think it's a bit too elementary to think of life as a simulation, or at least our choice of wording, or rather our limited ability to encapsulate the incomprehensibly vast complexity and depth it contains. We simply don't have the words within our language to describe exactly what life could be in the sense of it being a simulation. About the closest we can get to it would be calling it an experience. And even then, that massively and shamefully underrepresents it. The great philosopher Alan Watts, whom I can't praise highly enough, once said, "Let's suppose that you were able, every night, to dream any dream you wanted to dream, and that you could, for example, have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time, or any length of time you wanted to have, and you would naturally, as you began on these adventures of dreams, you would fulfill all of your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you could foresee, and after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure each, you say, well, that was pretty great, and now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control, where something is going to happen to me that I don't know what is going to happen to be." And you would dig that, and you would come out of that, and you would say, wow, that was a close shave, wasn't it? Then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further out gamble as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now. You would dream the dream of living the life that you actually are living today. That would be within the infinite multiplicity of choices you would have, of playing that you weren't God. This notion resounds so highly within every bit of my very being. We truly think that life on Earth is all that reality is because we desperately and passionately want it to be. We crave and covet with every ounce of whatever we are, to have just the right amount of uncertainty while still being certain. And if we were omnipotent beings, we would eventually grow tired of being in absolute control of every aspect of every little thing. The only option for entertainment at this point is to convince ourselves that we aren't. And since we're able to do anything, we're capable of doing just that. We can put this veil over our eyes that fully and completely persuades us in every way that we are not in control of it all. But we get glimpses of our true potential every night when we dream whatever the subconscious mind wants. Many believe we're actually capable of even carving this reality into the exact one we want as well, but that's a topic for another day. Beyond the philosophical realm, we can also find tangible scientific evidence for living within a simulation. Theoretical physicist Dr. James Gates Jr. discovered what he describes as a form of computer code embedded within the fabric of space.
You find out that buried in them are computer codes just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web. And so I'm left with the puzzle of trying to figure out whether I live in the Matrix or not.
Wait, you're blowing my mind at this moment. So are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct. So,
Wait, I have to just be silent for a minute here. So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
If you're open to looking for them, you can actually find various synchronicities in your own life as well as those around you. I spoke to a friend several months ago about his beliefs in the great beyond. His reply will probably stick with me for some time. It was the first time he went completely outside of the fun-loving, always joking around attitude with me and looked right at me. He said, "I don't know what I believe in as far as before or after life, but I will say there's been a few occasions in my life where I reflect upon a situation I was just in and I ask myself, how did it end up like that? Something that definitely shouldn't have happened just happened. Like I get way luckier than I should have for those few moments. I don't consider myself a particularly lucky person, but for those few moments, something happened that I cannot explain, and if they hadn't, my life would have been drastically different." After hearing his reply, it got me thinking about the several times I'd been through very similar circumstances. One could simply brush these things off as simple coincidences. But I've had a hard time believing in coincidences these days. Things happen for a reason, and although it can be ridiculously difficult to fathom the reasoning from our human perspective, even the most terrible things we experience in life can serve as a way to make us stronger and better in various ways. When I was being broken up with by my ex of 10 years, I reached the lowest point in my life. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't think, I couldn't enjoy life whatsoever. I lost almost 40 pounds in a few weeks, and I came dangerously close to killing myself. I had the bottle of pills in my hand. I contemplated long and hard, sitting on the bathroom floor, whether I should just end the suffering then and there. But something deep inside of me convinced me not to. A lot of it I owed to my amazing dog at that time, Tux. I couldn't leave him there alone. Needless to say, I'm immensely happy I didn't. Today, I no longer suffer from the depression I did while I was with her. I'm happier and healthier than I've ever been. I'm in the best shape of my life physically and mentally, and I owe it all to hitting that rock bottom that allowed me to bounce back up to the current situation I'm in. The point is, you can't see it as being a positive thing at that point. You can only connect the dots looking back. And that is just part of life. And looking at it subjectively, it also sounds like a movie. They say art imitates reality and vice versa. And I think it's true because life is a form of art. And much like the characters within stories, we don't or can't realize that that's all we are. We really think that that which we live in is the entirety of it. But we really just serve as a form of expression for the higher, infinite source that we really are deep down.
You're inside a simulation of a simulation inside another giant simulation.
We may never know definitively whether we live in a simulation. But in any outcome, I think the key is to not take life too seriously. Enjoy the game and experience of life while we're here. Live in the present moment with the aim and intention of enjoying the everyday miracles around each and every one of us. We truly are so incredibly lucky to have been given this opportunity, so be grateful for every breath you take. But that's just my 2 cents. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.